Hey guys, so we're going to do a different sort of thing. We're going to do a kind of multi-layered composition, all in After Effects, kind of getting to know some of the drawing tools that we have at our disposal here. Let's just jump in, new composition. We're going to keep it the same thing we've been doing, 1920 by 1080. The background color can be whatever you want. We'll just change it in a second here. I'll make it pink, and then I'll just refill it with a new shape solid and just color that maybe like a light grayish color or some sort of light color. It's like somewhere in this little neighborhood here, and you can just kind of navigate through and pick what color you want. We're gonna make everything white with a black, stroke at some point. So I'll just make mine neutral gray, and you can make yours whatever you like. Okay, with that done, right click on it, new shape layer, and let's grab our with our rectangle tool, hold the mouse button down, and find rounded rectangle. And if you want, you just press Q and sort of go flip through those. You can kind of see up here the shapes are changing until you find a rounded rectangle here. Let's just draw a rounded rectangle that's going to be kind of like, somewhere kind of like maybe, I don't know, like a third of the screen here. And if you look at it, you can see the edges are rounded. I'm going to change my stroke to black. And you don't have to do black. You can do anything that's a sort of darker color, not anything that's like lighter than the gray behind you. Just a sort of a darker color. Just kind of like create these little borders. Keep your stroke at about 5 pixels. Keep your fill around white. And I'm going to rename this. Right click on it, rename it, call it screen, just so we know where everything is. We don't have a bunch of shape layers kind of hanging around here. Let's click on screen, go to layer, transform, center anchor point and layer content, and then center it horizontally to the composition. And then with a P on the keyboard, we can just sort of raise it up a little bit here. Look kind of like where we're at. Maybe a little bit lower. And what we'll do is we will click add, or rather go over here to our, open up this little contents area by hitting this little arrow, and then hit the add and find trim paths. And we'll just open up trim paths, click on end, and kind of move that out, and then pull end down to 0. So it goes like this, kind of a clockwork kind of a thing. And I'm going to kind of look at this right here. I want it to start at this corner right here. No reason why, but just if case you're curious as to how we do this, you could, of course, like navigate the, start path down here and then the end path like over this way, right? Until, they match up. And that's one thing you could do. I'm just going to do what I just did there. But a better, easier way of doing that is just to kind of navigate this little offset and kind of like, pull this like so it starts like here, and we get this sort of clockwork kind of fill to the path there. All right, neat. Let's make a new shape layer. And I'm just going to get my pen tool here, and let's just navigate over this way here at the end. Let's navigate over to this keyframe and this little arrow here. I'll press U on the keyboard just to kind of like clear everything out. And with our shape layer 1 selected, we don't have anything here yet, but we're just going to grab our pen tool and just click once on the edge of the screen, hold down the shift key and click once on the other side, sort of towards the bottom here. And this will make this little line go across, giving this little, kind of bezel area here for our screen. In fact, I'll just rename it Bezel. Look that word up if you don't know what that is. And I'll just open this up here and click on add, find trim paths. And once again, we're going to figure out which way this goes. I think start and end. I think end is the ticket here. So I'll make a little keyframe at the end here on the same time this ends, and I'll bring it back to start, or I'll bring the end to 0%. So it'll go from 0 to 100 at the same pace as the rest of it does. So they finish at the same time, right? There we go. That gets drawn there. And let's do another little line here. We'll just do a new shape layer. And I'm just going to zoom in real close and just kind of like create this little shape layer like this. Hold down, just click once and then hold down shift and just create a little, line here, which gives us this little speaker that, you sometimes tend to get. If you look right here, you can see it's got flat edges. These little sort of flat edges there. If you want to change the cap, which I would want to change the cap, I'm going to click on this little shape layer 1, click on contents, click on shape 1, click on stroke 1, and change the line cap from butt cap to round cap, which is going to give this little rounded cap, which you might not be able to see super clearly right now because it's on like a third of its resolution. But if I change it over to full, it should become more clear. You can kind of see that there better. So I'm just going to come back to third so I can, navigate this around a little bit. And we'll do the same thing. I'll add in trim paths here. Add trim paths. and do the same thing. Click a little keyframe for end, and have it go from 0 to 100. So this is U on the keyboard here, and we'll just U, right? And so we can kind of see them all sort of come into being there. Neat. All right, so let's do a little let's do a little experimentation here. All right, so let's make sure everything is centered into the artboard horizontally here. Let's center this to the composition horizontally, so everything's centered. There we go. And I'm gonna create my. I'm gonna open up this little grid. So hold down the control button, press the apostrophe, and this little grid appears. And let's see if we can't create a little pedestal for it to stand on. Hold on the space bar just to kind of like get a hold of this. And let's go from the center. This is the center right here. It looks to be, right? So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 from the center and click once. And then I'm going to go down to like this little solid line here. Actually, I'll go into the next solid line like this. And I'll count 1, 2, 3 again and click right there. Hold on the shift key. And then go across here. So we're looking for like the center line. So here's the center right here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Click right there. And then come back up. Here's the center line. 1, 2, 3. Right there. And we'll just click right there in the middle. And we'll kind of like fix this to kind of be a little more straight. So let's see how that looks. And if you wanted to kind of disguise that, you could sort of pull this down to like the bottom layer there, so it's sort of disguised. But what we'll do is let's rename shape layer 1, rename that to speaker, just so again we can kind of like tell which is which. Shape layer 2, let's rename this, call this one pedestal. And then last one we'll do here is we'll just go like 2 out, or maybe 3 out here. I'll go 3 out. So we don't have anything selected. We could right click and do new shape layer, or we could just simply have nothing selected and just click with our pen tool on the outside here, click once. And then hold down shift and go. This is 1, 2, 3. Go 1, 2, 3. Like so. Let me just do that again, but hold on the shift key. And there's that. And once again, I'm going to make sure this has a round cap to it. So go down here, shape 1, path, stroke, round cap. There we go. All right, so for pedestal and for shape layer 1, let me just rename this to something like foot, and we'll just open this up here and just add in trim paths. The same thing we did before for trim paths. Let's do end, and just pull this over here. All right, so everything's lined up. That's good, except for this one. All right, and then we'll just pull this back and pull this down to 100, or 0 rather. So that kind of extends outwards. And then do the same thing with the pedestal. U on the keyboard, tap U twice, add, trim paths, open this up. And we'll just make a keyframe for end, drag it back, make it 0%, and make sure this is all lined up here. Watch that little diamond right here. Watch that turn blue when it's all lined up. Okay, here we go. U. Here we go. Cool. All right, so there's that. And let's just zoom out and see what we got. Control and apostrophe to dismiss the grid. And we'll just see if we can't see this computer being drawn here. This is fine. Let me try it one more time. I think I could probably slow this down some more. So maybe even like a second and a half. All right, there's that. All right, cool. And so the next thing we'll have is a, sort of like a web page appear. So let's go back to our, actually let's do this, let's go back to our new shape layer, and we'll grab our rounded rectangle again. We zoom in real close here and just sort of drag this down. And I'm going to change the stroke color here to something eye-catching, like say for instance like a pink or something. All right. And we'll wait until this is here. And what I'm going to do with this shape layer 1, let's grab our anchor point pan behind tool, click on that, and just grab that anchor point and sort of just put it up here on the corner. And we'll grab our scale and hit a little keyframe here and just go forward, say for instance like a half second, and put another keyframe there, and we'll just drag this back down to 0. So it sort of pops in from the corner, almost like it's whoop, like that. There you go. And we can even Let's just select everything. Oh, we'll ease everything once we have all the keyframes done. Make one more. Not one more, but we'll make several more. New shape layer here. Let's grab a pen and just like click once, hold down Shift, click twice. Change the color of the stroke to something like blue. Okay, there's that, and we can right-click on this, rename this like web content. And then over here, we can call this web copy. Copy is an industry term for your for the stuff that you're going to be, the text you're going to be putting in there. And I'll just press Control D a couple times, and I'll just P for position, drag it down some. Control D, P on the keyboard, down some. Control D, P on the keyboard. So maybe one more. I'll do 5 copies. Control D, P on the keyboard, drag it down some. Let's select all these web copies and let's just make sure they're distributed vertically. So there you go. Whoops. All right, here we go. And so we'll do the same thing with these guys as we did from the other stuff. We'll, well, you know what? Actually, let's do this number here. Let's get rid of all this. Sorry. And let's add trim paths to this one, and then we'll just duplicate the rest. So here's what we'll do. We'll just do U on the keyboard twice to add trim paths. And we'll create this little keyframe here for the end, and then go back and pull it into 0, so it extends outwards there. And we'll just maybe have this overlap slightly, these guys. And what we can do here is instead we can add in a repeater. And the repeater 1 is just going to make, let's say, 4 copies. And we'll offset it. Okay, let's transform repeater 1. Let's go down here, position. Let's do 100%. Nope, let's scale. Position, let's do 0, and let's do 100. Nope, let's do 10. Nope, let's do 50. There we go. Cool. Then we could even like add another one, like 5. And multiple shapes. Okay, here we go. So now these all kind of come in like this, and we could offset them by a little bit. So yeah, raise that offset some. Nope. Even delay. That's really good. Sort of opacity, scale. All right, cool. And we'll just have that kind of come in like that. There we go. So those come in like so. And let's press U on the keyboard to collapse everything down. Let's watch what we've got so far. And what we'll do is these two here is we'll just hit T on the keyboard for opacity. Make a keyframe both of these. Drag that out a little bit, and then pull the opacity again. Next keyframe here, we can just drag this down to 0. So they fade out. And then let's add in our little tagline. And we'll just change the font to something other than whatever is the default font. Change it to a sans serif font, some kind of like clean computer-like thing. I'm going to choose something like, Arial could work. I'm going to choose Franklin Gothic Heavy or Demi, right? And I'll just pick anywhere in here to make my little thing here. So this is something like sign up for updates today. Call to action. So it doesn't matter what we're talking about. If you want to sign up for updates, here's where you go. Sign up for updates. Put that right there. Move this into the center of the artboard here. So align to the composition right there. Change the font, the text color to black, or whatever you have your stroke as. And then what we could do from here is we could add a little effect and preset here. Let's go to animation presets. Let's go to transitions, or let's go to text here. We have animate in, fade up lines. I'm going to just drag on to that, And so that way it'll just like kind of fade up lines. With a twist, rating characters in, random fade up, slow fade on, smooth move in. In fact, what we can do is we can do like a sort of slow fade up, but we can also add in a position keyframe as well. So let's go for like P for position. Let's set U on the keyboard. Real quick. U. Let's line up our position keyframes with our transition keyframes. And we'll just have this kind of stop here. And move this down slightly so it sort of moves up while it's transitioning in. There we go. Sign up for updates today. Okay, good. So let's just go through this again. All right, cool. All right, so let's have a second or two of just some fun stuff happening here. What we'll do is we'll make some new shapes. So let's just go over here to new. Shape layer, and I'm gonna real quick run over here to Adobe Color, or even just coolers.co, and just find a random palette here, and I'll just press the space bar to get a new palette. Something I like here. I like this. This is fun. I'm just gonna copy this color here. I'm gonna make a new shape layer 1. And I'm just gonna make a little circle here, just a random little circle like right there. And I'm gonna take the stroke away and fill in with that color that I found. And then I'll just duplicate this. Actually, what I'll do is this. I'll put in my keyframes first. I'm gonna have this just sort of, once this is all here, I'm gonna have like some little like circles appear and disappear over here. This is a thing that you see all the time, this little flavor stuff that kind of appears. I'm just gonna go over here to S for scale and make a keyframe, and I'm just gonna have it arrive. Go from 100 to 0 to 100. This is gonna arrive. Whoop, here we go. Let's just go ahead and go to, before we put those keyframes in, let's go to Layer, Transform, center, anchor point, and layer content, and once again hit Scale, and just go from 0, and maybe navigate it over like a quarter of a second, and then go to 100, and then go back down to 0. All right, so that kind of appears and goes away here. We'll smooth that a little bit, and we'll just duplicate this, Control D, and we can even just nudge this over some, and with our position keyframe, just gonna move this up and out a little bit. So we have like, you know, two circles sort of appear one after the other. But for this one, what we'll do is we'll change the fill to one of these other colors in our little palette. So I'll just grab this one. So copy this. And just paste this here. And then duplicate that. And just move it over just a little bit more. And move it down here. And once again, copy one of these colors over here and paste it like so. So let's real quick hit U on the keyboard and just make these just kind of appear while like just sort of barely, you know, delayed from each other. So we'll just sort of, boop, there we go, cool. And you could even just sort of come to a moment where they're all kind of hanging out here. And if you want to like position them again to where like they make it more of like an even triangle, that's fine. We'll just have like these little guys kind of hanging out here. You know, just chilling, and they just sort of appear to sort of celebrate this guy, this little like that, and then we'll make another we'll make another shape layer here. In fact, let's we'll just keep the name of this layer, new shape layer, and let's make with our pen tool here just a little pen going across like so. And we'll make this be no fill with a stroke. That's that same color that we used for our first circle. Copy this and just paste it here. And then we'll add in a trim path. So let's go over here to our content. This is add in a trim path. And then let's do both a keyframe for start and end. And we'll just have this sort of appear around the same time these guys start and go. And so we'll just have this start with the end at 0. And then we'll have it end at 100%. And then a little bit later, we'll have the start end at 100%. So we have this little kind of like, whoop, like that. Maybe even like a little bit more delayed here. Like that. And then maybe at the very end here, let's center this like these two guys here. Let's go over here to our shapes and let's grab a star. And let's just make a new shape layer here. Layer, new shape layer. And let's just get a little close and draw a little star here. And we can just we can change the number of angles there are. Place star path. Points, we can change it to like 6. Or we can change it to 7. Or we can change it to 10. Or whatever we want. And then let's just go over here to layer. Transform. Center anchor point layer content. And we'll just grab shape layer 5 and shape layer 4. And we'll go over here to our align and just make sure they're aligned to the selection and just sort of center them up like that. And then we'll just have the same little keyframes for scale here. So after that gets done, once that finishes, we'll have this just sort of appear and disappear scale. And move this over like a keyframe, and then another keyframe here, another one here. And we'll just go 0, 0. So we go like this. All right. So it's interesting. This line's still here. Beforehand, let's look at what we got. We got an extra keyframe here. There we go. All right, so that kind of appears, it disappears. They're very, very neat. Okay, cool. All right, so let's do this over here. Let's sort of double click on comp 1, and let's just select everything, and then press F9 on the keyboard, and then double click again. Zoom out some here, and let's just take a look at what we got. We got some fun little flavor kind of going on as far as all these different things we've got going on. All right, cool. And I think I want to just like maybe put this around the same time and all this stuff happens. So we can kind of like have this all sort of appear as a big old fun time. And we could even like maybe put this around the same time as sign up for updates today. All right, cool, neat. And then let's do one last little thing here. Let's pre-compose everything. Okay, so right click, also select everything minus the background. So from pedestal all the way up to the shape layer 5, right click on it, say pre-compose, call it computer animation. And then what we'll do is we'll have a, so saying around here, let's say wait for everything to end. It'll start arrive and then disappear. And then once that's done, let's grab S for scale and then just like maybe have it go from 100% to, say for instance, like 120%. Right, and then I'll just sort of like, you know, whoop, like that. And then what we'll do is we'll just sort of pull that out there like F9. Let's make another shape layer, and we'll make another rounded rectangle. And this time we'll kind of make it like this. And let's go over here to rectangle 1. Let's go to stroke. Let's like stroke 1. Let's find dashes. Let's add a dash. Here we go. And then offset. Let's click on offset here. And let's add in a little thing here. Let's go from let's do this. Let's offset this with time. So we'll take the offset right here, and let's actually shrink this down some here. That's fine with the way it is. Let's hold on the Alt key, click on offset, and click the word time, and then put times like 100. And so that way it'll just like kind of move this around a little bit as it goes through. So when we play it, it's sort of like, on this little carousel here. And then we'll add in a trim paths. And so we got to make sure that we get the trim paths. It'll only arrive once it's done expanding. And let's really quick make sure that we've got this. Let's go to layer, transform, center anchor point, and layer content, and then center the artboard or the composition here. And then what we'll do is we'll just have the trim paths occur right about here. And let's shape layer 1. Let's click on add trim paths. Oops, let's get rid of one of these. Trim paths 1. Let's click on end. And then we'll just move that out of the way. Go back to 0. All right, there's that. And then what we'll do is we'll put in some text down here. So I'll just get my text tool, visit. I'll make this aligned to the left here. Nope, I meant paragraph-wise, line to the left. And then we'll just sort of move this down here. And I'll make this font a good deal smaller. So like, and then let's put our names here, www.mrlobello.com. And then obviously you can put your name there too. First name, last name, whatever you want to do. And then we just added another one of these effects and presets for text. Animate in, we can do drop in my character, fade up and flip, fade up characters. Here we go, fade up characters. Let's do that one. So let's see what that does. Okay, and we'll just U on the keyboard and sort of tighten it up some. And then let's pre-compose everything again. Right click on it, pre-compose, and call it final. And then let's make everything fade out with after a second or two. So this appears, and then we give it like a couple seconds, and then we'll just T for opacity. Click on that, and then move it over a little bit, and bring it up to 0, and F9 all that. Let's actually double click on final. U on the keyboard, F9 all this. Double click on the keyboard. U. Make sure everything has been smoothed. All right, back to comp 1. All right, here we go. Let's see what this is. Let's fit this. Fabulous. All right, cool. And then it'll repeat seamlessly. All right, neat. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and export this. Add to being encoder queue. You know the drill. All right, very cool. Can't wait to see you guys produce.